Taiwan's military says it's confident it can defend the country despite leaked documents that cast doubts on Taiwan's missile defenses. A reassuring message from a French delegation visiting Taiwan following controversial remarks by Emmanuel Macron in China. Firefighters have put out a wildfire that raged for 5 days in southern Taiwan. Plus,
I've come to an indigenous village in central Taiwan. Why? The Nanto County Chief is going to show me the nation's longest and highest suspension bridge.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. Leaked U.S. security documents reveal that Taiwan's air defenses might not be effective against Chinese missile strikes. That's according to a report in the Washington Post. The report says that Taiwanese officials are unsure whether their air and missile defenses can accurately detect missile launches from China. Documents also show that a little more than half of the country's aircraft can operate during wartime, and that moving them to safety would take at least a week. Taiwan's defense ministry has responded to the report. It says that it welcomes outside criticism, but is confident in its defense capabilities. For more on Taiwan's missile defense capabilities, our reporter Jaime Okan spoke to Xu Tianran, a defense analyst with the Open Nuclear Network based in Vienna.
How effective is Taiwan's air and missile defense? And can it defend against a Chinese missile strike if a conflict were to happen?
Yeah, I think the answer is, in general, I would say yes, but there are a lot of uncertainties. And when we are talking about missile strike, there are mainly two kinds of strikes. One is the ballistic missile strike, which comes very fast. The time is very short. The second is lower, more like subsonic cruise missiles. They fly pretty low, at pretty low altitude, and they fly low speed subsonic. So regarding the first threat or challenge, I think Taiwan is doing the best it can. I'm not saying that it can intercept all the missiles, or even, I'm not even saying they can intercept 60% of the incoming missiles, but they've already have dedicated missile interceptors built both domestically and imported from the US. And we all know that missile defense is very tricky, very difficult.
And what about Taiwan's Air Force? Can Taiwan protect its aircraft from a potential strike from China?
Yes, force preservation is the first step in every major conflict that's facing Taiwan. What Taiwan military would do is force preservation to take the first several waves of attack. So what they've been doing is to have this aircraft take off and land at the airstrips in major war exercises. But I think they can do more of that. They can also try to let their aircraft operate on civilian airfields, and also on, as I said before, on the airstrips, even 60% or 70% of the aircraft being taken out, and the 30% or 40% keep operating throughout the conflict, then that would also be a significant challenge. They can help to keep the airspace contested.
That was Xu Tianran, a defense analyst with the Open Nuclear Network, speaking to our reporter Jaime Okan. A U.S. Navy destroyer sailed through the Taiwan Strait on Sunday, days after China's military finished practicing a blockade of Taiwan. The U.S. 7th Fleet announced the transit on Monday. Taiwan and the U.S. say the middle of the strait between Taiwan and China is not part of either side's territory. But China says the U.S. Navy has no right to sail through without Chinese permission. U.S. warships transited the strait 6 times last year. The latest voyage comes 6 days after China finished war games off the coast of Taiwan. They began after Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen met with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Indonesia's government is reportedly making a plan to evacuate its nationals from Taiwan if there's a war with China. The plans were reported by Indonesian newspaper Kompas. 350,000 Indonesians live and work in Taiwan. Taiwan's foreign ministry says it respects the right of other governments to plan for the safety of their citizens. It says it will provide any help it can to keep foreign nationals safe. The head of a visiting French delegation says France stands with Taiwan. The four-person delegation is in the country following French President Emmanuel Macron's warning that Europe should not be drawn into a conflict over Taiwan. James Chater has more.
4 French politicians have arrived in Taiwan on a 4-day trip to strengthen ties between the two countries. But before even leaving the airport, the cross-party parliamentarians were forced to clarify France's position on Taiwan.
According to us, nothing changed. What we want to say to Taiwan is if something happens to Taiwan, it will change the world. I don't want to spend my week to clarify any malentendu. There's no malentendu between France and Taiwan.
Any potential malentendu here, French for misunderstanding, relates to comments made by French President Emmanuel Macron following a visit to Beijing and talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. In an interview with Politico earlier this month, Macron warned Europe should not become America's followers, adding that the great risk Europe faces is that it gets caught up in crises that are not ours. The EU previously echoed US support of Taiwan as it faces growing intimidation from Beijing. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and threatens to take the island nation by force. The US is Taiwan's most important ally and arms provider.
We need to find out, does Macron speak for Macron or does Macron speak for Europe?
Macron's remarks drew criticism from some European and US leaders, who said he undermined both the US-EU alliance and European commitments to Taiwan. Macron stood by his comments.
Et à cet égard, la position de la France et des Européens est la même sur Taïwan. Nous sommes pour le statu quo. Et elle est constante, cette politique, elle n'a pas changé.
The visiting lawmakers sought to assure French support for Taiwan remains steadfast. But Taipei will hope meetings in the coming days will ensure there's substance behind those promises. Ricky and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan and Canada will soon hold the first round of talks on a possible foreign investment agreement. The talks, which aim to increase bilateral trade and investment, will take place in Taiwan. They are expected to cover small and medium-sized enterprises and support for businesses owned by Indigenous peoples and women. Taiwan and Canada have grown closer in recent months, but Taiwan's ban on certain Canadian beef products could be a barrier. Still, some in Taiwan are optimistic about the future of Taiwan-Canada trade.
国家之间的这个经贸关系其实2021年有相当大幅度的一个成长那不仅仅是因为2020年疫情基期比较低，甚至相较于疫情之前的一些数据，其实都增幅很大。
A wildfire in southern Taiwan's Kaohsiung area is out after burning for 5 days. Hundreds of firefighters, forest rangers, and soldiers managed to put out the fire on Monday. The fire burned around 300 hectares of countryside but spared people's homes. Officials say they're still on alert as a historic drought continues across much of Taiwan, creating dry conditions.
是昨天打熄了，但是今天早上如果温度再起来的时候，它还是有复燃的可能。所以今天早上我们局里面还是相关的人还是不敢松懈。我们调派了非常多的同仁在火场的不同的地点去做一个监控。
Today, Andrew Ryan brings us to Taiwan's mountainous center. For the latest in our series, Where is the County Chief Taking Us? Spoiler alert, they're going to visit the nation's longest and highest suspension bridge. Hope you're not afraid of heights.
A walk across Taiwan's highest and longest suspension bridge. A bike trip around the country's largest natural lake. And a jump off the top of one of Taiwan's most striking wooden structures. These are just some of the ways you can test your limits in Nanto County, at the mountainous heart of Taiwan.县长，今天可不可以介绍一下您今天带我们来的这个地方是什么地方呢？
好，这个地方呢是我们在信义乡的一个非常有名的双龙瀑布吊桥哈。那这个吊桥它最具有特色的地方，它是全国最长，同时也是最深的。我们这全长总共有342公尺，那深呢有110公尺。
Now I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of heights, so I don't love the 30-story drop. 那县长会怕高吗？
我不会。
But the mayor's game, so off we go. She tells me the patterns on the railings are inspired by the 100-pace snake, a symbol of the indigenous Bunun people who live in the area. At one end of the bridge, a breathtaking climb of 420 steps leads to the twin dragon waterfalls above. The bridge was opened to the public 3 years ago during the pandemic. They limit visitors to 1,800 a day, but I'm relieved to see that only 250 visitors are allowed on the bridge at one time.
南投我们最大的一个困境如果以推动观光来讲，其实比较受到限制的是交通，因为我们腹地太大了。过去大家讲说，我们南投是没有机场嘛，没有铁路嘛，那也没有这个海港所以我们唯一的道路都是我们的公路。除了在大型的道路开辟之外，另外我们也要加强在地的接驳的连线。
The county chief says their main focus is the Taiwan tourist shuttle routes, which help bring travelers up into the mountains.
去年我们也争取了3条的台湾好行，今年又会再增加3条，就是我们是全国最多台湾好行的地方。
Nanto has also found a creative way to overcome something even bigger, Taiwan's worst natural disaster of the last 100 years, the 921 earthquake. Instead of hiding the scars left by the massive quake that struck in 1999, they built a museum around the fault line. The epicenter is now home to the Chelongpu Fault Preservation Park. It's one of the few places in the world where visitors can see right inside the fault line of a magnitude 7.6 earthquake.
9.1的大地震在23年前呢，也给南投县一个蜕变的机会。我觉得有一些的伤痛也好，或者是经历也好，我们把它这些化作我们自己未来给自己往前走的动力。
Without the force of Mother Nature, Taiwan would still be lying under the Pacific Ocean. The same tremors that caused destruction also created the land upon which we live. And there's no better reminder of the tectonic forces deep within the earth than the towering mountains of Nanto County. Klein Wong, Kama Xu, Peachy Zhuang, and Andrew Ryan for TaiwanPlus.
That was part 1 of Andrew's trip to Nanto in our series, Where's the County Chief Taking Us? Tomorrow in part 2, we'll find out how the mountains of Nanto put the county literally head and shoulders above the rest of Taiwan. Coming up, celebrating Austronesian heritage in Taiwan and singing of the need to protect the ocean. Stay tuned for more.
For more colorful stories from here at the center of Taiwan and from around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Starting Monday, people in Taiwan can go mask-free on public transportation. Health authorities say wearing a mask is still advised, but no longer required. The large majority of passengers on the Taipei Metro on Monday were still masked up. Hospitals and other medical facilities are the only places where masks are still mandatory. Taiwan began enforcing universal masking outside the house in May 2021, when the country had its first serious COVID outbreak. Until Monday, Taiwan was one of the last places in the world to require masks on transportation. People in Thailand were out over the weekend to celebrate Songkran Festival, a 3-day event to ring in the Thai New Year. It was the first to take place in 3 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Callum Stewart was there to check out the fun.
Travel around central Chiang Mai at this time of year, and you'll soon notice two things. First, it's almost impossible to stay dry. And second, when it comes to water fights, it's extremely difficult not to get caught up and go with the flow. The Songkran holiday period, which celebrates the Thai New Year, fell on April 13th to 15th this year. Also called the Water Festival, the event sees locals and visitors pick up buckets or water pistols and head out to make a splash. But dousing each other in water isn't just a way for people to enjoy themselves. The act has its roots in Buddhism. Participants wash away any bad feelings or negativity they might have built up over the past year.
Sometimes we angry, sometimes unhappy, right? We keep always look like same bad spirit. We talk that, yeah. After we take the water, that's to clean, to make new person.
The Water Festival is also a way for people to cool down in northern Thailand's blistering heat, which has been made worse by recent haze. But ultimately, it's a lot of fun and something that brings in people from all over.
How are you finding it so far?
Wet. It's very hot and we throw the water together.
It's the part of the New Year's. It's what you do.
This the last day. Enjoy.
This year's Songkran comes with a renewed sense of freedom after COVID-19 restrictions shut down the festival for the past 3 years. Locals are also hoping the event will be a shot in the arm for tourism. Close to 40 million people visited Thailand each year before 2020, but the country's tourism industry suffered greatly during the pandemic. Thailand's government estimates that over $500 million could be generated over the 3-day festival. Some see this as an example of how Thai tourism is bouncing back.
After COVID, before COVID started, nobody outside, people get sick at home, and now beginning everyone not afraid. Not afraid, people outside.
After years of waiting, when the call came to go out and party, Chiang Mai delivered. And while this festival ushers in the fresh start of a new year, it also brings a sense of revival and renewal in post-pandemic Thailand. Callum Stewart reporting from Chiang Mai for TaiwanPlus.
Now, Thailand wasn't the only Southeast Asian country to celebrate the Water Festival last weekend. And in Taiwan, New Taipei City's overseas Burmese community observed Thingjian, their version of the Buddhist New Year. But the historic drought currently drying out Taiwan meant that this year's Water Festival had to be mostly waterless. Joyce Tseng has the story.
I'm here at New Taipei City's Huaxing Street, known to locals as Little Myanmar. People are here to celebrate the Water Festival, but this year they've opted not to splash out.
Food, prayers, and blessings. These were just a few ways New Taipei's Burmese community celebrated Thingjian on Sunday. Widely known as the Water Festival, Thingjian can be likened to Thailand's Songkran and other Southeast Asian celebrations, which all mark the Buddhist New Year. Around 150,000 people from Myanmar live in Taiwan. Just under half of those are in New Taipei City, and half of this community live in this district, where Little Myanmar is. The well-visited alley is lined with businesses selling authentic Burmese food, treats, and other items.
这一条华新街主要就是由我们闽侨经营的小商店，希望跟所有的这个我们在地的民众或归侨来分享。
But this year's event was slightly different. Southern Taiwan has been battling its worst drought in decades, with many cities currently under water rationing. But turning down water for the Water Festival is not as odd as it may seem.
我们决定了是用回归原来的我们缅甸以及泰国过新年的方式，就是过年祈福，然后呢洒净的方式来庆祝。
Sprinkling water in silver bowls is intended to wash away one's bad luck and sins of the previous year. Traditionally, monks give this blessing. People also pray for good fortune by pouring water on Buddha statues. This event's return to its religious roots also comes at a time when Myanmar's military rule has grown increasingly violent. the junta there seized power in a bloody 2021 coup. Since then, it has worked to stamp out any form of dissent in the country. For many in the overseas community, the event was a chance to pray for loved ones back home.
我们缅甸人很多人，大家都努力赚钱，自己就舍不得吃，舍不得花，大家都捐到缅甸。为什么？他们一碗饭都吃得很困难，真的。
For some, it was also a way to share a sense of home with people close to them.
Hello. Today event is just let my daughters know this is our traditional. This is our just about it. But we are hardest just because of our situation, our country's situation.
For an occasion that's all about new beginnings, the ongoing brutality in Myanmar has made it difficult for its overseas community to fully move forward. But for those here today, they've taken some comfort in keeping parts of their home alive by sharing their traditions in Taiwan. Kamashu and Joyce Zhen in New Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A group of Austronesian artists took part in Taiwan Week, a festival of performing arts from Taiwan and across the globe. They sang to help others understand their deep connection to the ocean and the threats it faces. Our reporter Sandy Chi was there.
An oceanic songline. This is one of the songs from the project, Small Island, Big Song, that Bao Bao Chen and her husband Tim Cole started in 2015. The couple was motivated by their concern for the ocean, so they set off on a journey to 16 island nations of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. During this time, they collaborated with local artists and musicians to produce songs that connect to the ocean and the islands.
We just heard the 5th IPCC report from the United Nations about climate change, and both of us, you know, what was happening to nature, and also across the Pacific. We've been working with artists in Vanuatu. We just really had to put that in the front, something that addressed that issue.
As the couple traveled from country to country, many more joined their journey to sing for the ocean in their local language and with traditional instruments. Their group has continued to grow and has performed in 17 countries over 8 years.
You know, music is living, just like culture is living. And I think that's the part will help us tell our story better and to enrich our musicians better and allow everyone to not just to feel confident about themselves, but confident about where they're coming from, about their culture.
Taiwanese musicians in the project include Salalui from the Baiwan people and Ami singer Budar. With immense energy and soaring voices, they sing about their love and respect for the ocean.
We must protect our ocean. We must respect our ocean. If we don't have an ocean, we don't have a life.
因为我们的祖先从以前就知道怎么在这个循环里面共存，但是现在生态都在破坏，海洋在改变了，已经跟我小时候的景象不一样。用音乐来让大家知道，可能他们听不懂我讲的语言，但是我觉得音乐是一个我情绪的一个表达。对，我希望他们可以感受得到，就是我对大自然的尊敬，身为一个 land people.
Besides singing for the ocean, the musicians have something else in common, the feeling of returning to their roots in Taiwan.
And for a lot of the musicians from, overseas, from Madagascar, Mauritius, Papua New Guinea, Aotearoa, New Zealand, for them coming to Taiwan and play at the National Concert Hall, it doesn't mean just playing on another big stage for them. For them, it's like coming home, coming to the place where their ancestors lived. thousands of years ago.
Small Island Big Song started off as a dream for Chen and Cole, but now has expanded to over 100 members. By harnessing the power of music and culture, they hope their oceanic songlines will continue to promote climate action around the world. Damon Lin, Devon Tai, P.T. Zhuang, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Another piece featured in Taiwan Week was a work based on the ancient Indian epic, the Ramayana. Called Choreographing Story, the performers traveled to 4 Southeast Asian countries to learn from local dance teachers. Choreographing Story is still a work in progress, and they are working to add Taiwanese elements to the show. The show is about connecting the ancient work with the present.
I think the main idea is to understanding how the culture, the tradition can pass through from 1,000 years or 2,000 years until nowadays.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of pilgrims on horseback. They're marking the Quasimodo Festival in Chile, held on the first Sunday after Easter. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.